Hello everyone and welcome to another Watercolor Wednesday. I'm Allison with the blog A Glimpse Inside, and today I will be showing you how to create this little church scene. Just kind of like a little country church, just down the lane with some, like a tree, a couple bushes, like a little path to get to it here. We need 5 stamps from 5 different stamp sets to create this, but you can easily, use any sort of leaves and flowers stamps that you have if you don't have exactly these. So to begin, the stamps that we'll be using is from the church set. We're going to use the large one right here in the front. From the original foliage set, we're going to use the tiny grasses. From the original flower set, we're going to use this. It's a type of flower, but I'm going to use it as leaves instead. From the mini flower set, we're going to use those tiny little dots again. And then from foliage set 4, either one of these vines, I am using this one, but either of them work. And then for colors, this week we do not have a lot like we've had in the past. So let's see, we will need number 45 sepia. Again, I use the Marby La Plume too, but you can use Tombows or any other water-based markers that you have. So 45 sepia, number 86 African violet, number 15 olive green, number 96 jungle green, number 28 English red, and 17 steel blue. So not too many colors this time. We got 6 markers, and so let's get started. This week, this painting is a 4x4 square of watercolor paper. You could always make it on something bigger if you wanted to try to go a little bit larger with it, but it's just kind of like the perfect size if you want to turn it into a card or find a frame to frame for. Excuse me. One last thing, I guess you will need Post-it tape or a Post-it note if you have those handy. Okay, so we are going to begin with the church stamp. And we're going to ink it up in 2 colors. We're going to start with 45 sepia, and then we will follow that with our normal little duo here of African violet. So I'm going to get this whole thing inked up nicely. I won't be inking this one off. You can, the lines are pretty small, but I don't mind if some of like the windows and stuff get a little thicker, but if you want like a little bit thinner of a line, you can stamp it off on a extra sheet of paper if you have one handy, but I'm not going to be doing that today. Okay, so we got African violet and a sepia and then African violet, and we're going to stamp it. Let me adjust my light here. I got a bad shadow. So then we're going to stamp it just kind of right here in the center, slightly towards the left, but all right, so there is our little church. So I will begin by dipping my brush in water and pinching it off, and I'm going to start dragging the color out of the lines here, like under the roof line. We'll make that nice and dark under here. There's that little line. I'm going to pretty much just paint that in, and I'm going to drag this color down here. Okay, and then this side of the church, we're going to make it darker as like the light's kind of shining over here. So you can drag, a pretty decent amount of color out, and if you get too much, just keep spreading. Just try not to. So I'm okay if it's darker towards the back here, and I'll try to make it a little lighter as it comes forward. As like, you know, the light is starting to hit the front of the little church here. If that makes sense. And then in those little window grooves, I'm going to paint those in, because those will be solid right there. Turn my paper here. So there's that side pretty much painted in. We'll go back and add a little bit more to it, but so we don't want to do too much to the front here, since we do, you know, want the light like it's shining here, but we will have some shadows a little bit. We'll kind of drag here. You know, there's gonna be like a little shadow from the door, a little portico. We'll put a little shadow under here, and then we'll add some color onto the door. And then our roof here. So I'm going to take some color out here. I'm going to leave the very top line up there white. I'm not going to touch that. And then this little section, I'm going to also paint those in pretty dark there. Okay, so I'm going to try to soften this line just a little bit, kind of bring that down. So if you get a line that's a little too harsh, just dip your brush in water. You can easily kind of fade it out and kind of, you know, add other color. We'll add a little shadow right there. Okay, so we're not going to do a whole lot more to this, but we will do some stuff here. So I'm going to start by putting some African violet onto my palette over here. Excuse me. And a little bit of sepia. I don't want too much sepia, but and so I'm going to start with my windows. I'm just going to take the African violet. I'm going to paint in the window panes. I'm not going, you know, line to line. I'm leaving some white space there. If you're super creative, you could, you know, maybe take the thin tip of your brushes and try to make like a stained glass effect in the windows if you have a lot of time on your hands. But for today, I am just going to paint them in solid with African violets. The lights aren't on in the church, it's just a little dark. So I'm just giving them a couple coats to make them dark. And then when I'm happy with them, I will stop. So there's that. And then I'm going to give a quick coat of just sepia on the door. I'm I'm going to have to come back and do a couple coats of the sepia. So I'm going to just give a real quick one here just to kind of get a base color going. And then I will come back here in a moment to do more of the door. So there's that. So now for our roof, again, kind of like a little old country church. Could have like maybe a tin roof or just a normal shingle. But we're going to mix our sepia here in African violet and get our little like gray color. And I'm going to, paint that into the roof. I'm not going to go all the way to the top there. I'm not even going to paint it all the way in solid. I'm just going to leave some lighting areas there and then come back here on top of our little steeple. And if you want, you could always draw in a little cross up there, make like a little sign, pretend there's like a little writing or write something on there. Maybe you had a church like this in your town. You can easily customize this little painting. It'd be so cute. So I'm going to come back with just some African violet. I'm going to make right here a little darker as if we have a shadow from the steeple up there. And then again, just African violet. I'm just going to add a little bit more shadow here to darken these areas. And then just a little bit. We don't want to add too much. And if you get too dark, just come in with a wet brush, damp brush, I guess. And then that way, so now you have like a little more detail back there. I'm going to come and just add a little brown into the roof. You probably hear my children yelling. I apologize. Okay, so before I do more, I'm going to come back and add another little coat here to my door. I want to get this a little darker. And you could also just, add a little African violet. To give them a little shadowier in some spots. So, before I go on, I'm going to just give a little quick touch to those little, don't want to do too much. And then again, just going to come under here with my African violet. Right there under the roof. Get that nice and dark. Kind of the same thing here. So once you have your shadows, that you're happy, we can move on. Just going to kind of touch the steps here, just kind of soften those lines. Okay, so before I exit the church, I'm going to take the thin end of my African violet here, and I'm just really going to darken in that window, because you can see there's the double line right there. I'm going to really just darken that in, and that would have been right here as well, and then right under the roof, and then I'm just going to kind of darken in some of these lines here to make it look real shadowy. You can always add little accent lines if you want. Whichever way you want to go here with this. But I feel like once you bring out the marker and outline some things like just really pop off the page. Okay, church is done. So now we're going to mask off some of this because we are going to add our large bush back here. So I just have some little pieces of Post-it tape that I used. I'm actually going to use this one here. From when I was doing the other one, my sample picture. Let's see. I'm just gonna mask off the roof here. And then I'm gonna put this right over the steeple. Okay, so for our tree, I'm gonna use this stamp that's kind of more like, I think it's supposed to be a flower, but we're using it as just leaves because it just kind of works out for a tree. And I'm going to first start with olive green. And so we'll ink this up and just kind of gauge. I want it to be a real full tree, you know, coming up from behind the church. You can always add more than one of these. If you know, put something else on that side, but I'm only doing the leaves. I don't want it to I didn't want to have to do a trunk. So just kind of like work it out here wherever you think. Sometimes you have to kind of turn it because the tape prevents it from really stamping well. So you may have to just kind of turn it into those against the roof there. And so I'm going to start with that one. I'm going to wipe this off quickly. And then I'm going to come back with this jungle green just for a little brightness. And then add it kind of towards the ends, like new leaves growing. You know how like in the spring, leaves just kind of pop. They're just so bright when they first start growing again off a tree. So I just wanted to add a little bit of color variation. So I'm going to do that. You take this off, and if you want, which I'm going to do it on this one, I'm going to change the way my tape is here, and I'm just going to add a couple leaves popping out from like that side of the steeple, just to make that tree like it's real large back there behind the church. Excuse me. And then take one more, and I'm going to cover up the side of the church here. And if you don't trust yourself too much, you can cover up that side. And now we're going to use our vine, and we're going to add just kind of some like little bushes and stuff. And again, if you want, you can always add another tree over here. I just kind of wanted, like I said, tuck it back here so I didn't have to do a trunk. But you can always add, you know, make it like a whole bunch of trees. And then this cute little church, you can just make this like a larger bush, however you want to do it. So this, I'm just going to ink like half of it up with the olive green. And just kind of make a little bush over here. Make it as big and bushy as you want. Make it as small. Don't put one at all and just do trees, however you want to do it. Okay. We'll see what that looks like once I water. And then we're just going to add like a little one like right here. And if you want, I'm going to make this one just slightly in front of the church here. Sorry. And I may even just have that one just a little bit come in the front, because it's a big old bush. Okay, so now we will add water to our tree and bushes here. So dip your brush in water, pinch it off, and then just dab and spread that color around. You know, you can extend it out from the tree to make the shape change if you would like to do that. It's a little too square or a little too round. You know, give it some dimension. So I like it when you add water, you can really see, you know, the two different greens. I'm sorry guys, I have stuff in my throat today. So let's see. All right, so there's our tree. I'll come down here and do this little bush. Same thing, you can make it wider, you know, extend it. We are going to add some flowers into these bushes so you can, you know, not make them quite so full or spread out. I kind of tucked my church a little farther that way, so I made this bush bigger in this picture than I did in my sample one. Okay, so before I do grass, I'm going to come in here with just some sepia, and I'm just going to kind of like make little marks with my paintbrush and kind of make them a little bigger as they come down the page here for like a little walkway. They don't have to be perfect lines, just to, like, you know, show like a little walkway. If you want, you can take a little touch of sepia to kind of add some shadow, dimension, and we will leave that like that. So for the grass, go to a little grass tip. You can use either the jungle green or the olive green, but I'm just going to do the olive green. So I'm going to start with just not inking the entire stamp right now. And I'm going to come up here by the church. And since it's, you know, farther away, I don't want the entire thing inked, because I don't want, you know, that grass to seem too big back here. So I'm just doing just the tips of them and kind of walking around. So now I'll color the whole thing in. And then I'm just going to kind of spread some grass here and there. Put a little close to the path here. I'll come out this way a little bit. And just do just the tips, and so just add as much or as little, and then I'm going to put a little bit of olive green on my palette here. Okay, so let's soften our grass and add a little more here. So I'm just going to brush my grass up and out. Okay, so if you want, you can just leave it like this. You're like, oh, you can tell there's grass. I'm just going to take it, a little bit of green from my palette and just kind of brush it in here and there. I'm not going to make it solid this time. I'm just going to kind of go around my little grass sections, just kind of extend it a little bit. You know, come over by your path and add a little bit if you'd like. Kind of give a base to everything in the background. So there. So that way, like, you know, it's obvious that there's grass. And our last stamp, let me exchange these here, is our little tiny flower petals. And I'm going to ink these up with the English red. And I'm not even going to do all of them. I'm just going to like touch the stamp with whatever. And then I'm just going to stamp those kind of here and there around the bushes. This one's pretty dark, so you can overlap the green if you want. I'm going to put some kind of right in front of the church. See, that color kind of pops right there. Okay, so these are so tiny. You don't need a lot of water at all for these. Dip your brush in water, pinch it off, and then, you know, just dab to like bring out that bright red color, that deep red color, I guess. You can extend some of them up and out. You know, you could do actual like flowers. I just thought this was pretty because it just, you know, it's like a flowering bush, but we're not super close to the church. We're not sure what exactly it is. And then our final step is the sky with the steel blue. So put some steel blue on my palette. And then I'm not going to paint the entire sky. I'm mostly going to add it over on this side just to kind of even balance out the painting a little bit. But even then, I'm not going to paint in the whole thing. You can always add just like a tiny bit up here. And then maybe a tiny bit right there. But that is all I'm doing for that sky. So now if you want to go back and darken anything, I'm going to add a little bit more to my door here. That was a little wet. And I'm going to take my sepia and darken doorknob. And that is our painting. Sign and date it, and there you go. I hope you enjoy this little painting. Perfect to turn into a frame. Maybe have like a thinking of you, or maybe someone has passed away during this pandemic and you wanted to send a card to a friend or a family. But it's also just a cute little picture to pop in a frame and display in your home. So I hope you enjoy this one. I hope you painted along with me. And if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments or on any of my social media pages, and I will be happy to try to paint whatever you suggest. I hope you have an awesome rest of your week, and I will see you later. Bye.